My family stole the $7,500 I had saved for surgery. They used it to go on a luxury cruise and left Grandma alone on Christmas. I gave them 48 hours to return the money. I had come home for Christmas like I always said I would. But when I opened the door, the house was cold and quiet, not at all how I imagined. The Christmas tree was lit, its cheap plastic star blinking like it was sorry. But there were no people, no wrapping paper, no smell of cinnamon or burnt cookies. Just the sound of a fork tapping a plate. "Hello," I called out. "In here, sweetheart," came a tired voice from the kitchen. I walked in and found Grandma sitting alone at the table, wearing her purple sweater. In front of her was a plate of cold stuffing and half-eaten ham. I blinked. "Where's everyone?" I asked. She didn't answer right away. She gave me a small, sad smile and slid a piece of paper across the table. Her hands were shaking. I picked it up. It was just a torn piece of notebook paper with my name scribbled on it. "Used your $7,500 loan for a family cruise. Take care of Grandma while we're gone. Love you, Mom." I stared at it. I couldn't even speak. That money was for my dental surgery. I had saved it for over a year. Grandma looked at me gently, like someone stepping through a minefield. "I guess they didn't think you'd mind," she said quietly. "They left yesterday." I sat down, stunned. No warning. No call. "They just took the money and left you here," I whispered. She gave a dry laugh. "Oh honey, you know they only call when they need something." I nodded. My hands tightened under the table. This wasn't new, it was just louder this time. Grandma took a sip of orange juice and looked at me. "We'll fix this," she said. I didn't answer. But something inside me cracked, and something colder took its place. She went to bed early that night. Said she was tired. Said her hips hurt from too much waiting. She kissed my cheek, held my arm, and whispered, "You were always the kind one." Then she slowly walked away, limping from the fall she had 2 winters ago, the one no one else cared enough to send her to rehab for. I sat alone 4 hours. No TV. No lights. Just that note. The money. My money. The money I earned working night shifts, weekends, holidays, driving Uber, freelancing, skipping meals, losing sleep. $7,500 gone. I opened the family group chat. Nothing. Not even a Merry Christmas. I scrolled up. My mom's last message was from November. "Remember to transfer the loan to Dad's account. We need to book before prices go up." Loan. They never called it a gift, because they knew it wasn't. I remembered how Mom first suggested it. "It's only short term. We'll pay you back by February. You can always reschedule your surgery." And like always, I nodded. I nodded when they needed help paying for Eric's school. I nodded when they needed money for Dad's gambling debt. I nodded when Ruby needed rent after quitting her job because her boss was rude. I always nodded because if I didn't, I was selfish, ungrateful, not family, family first. After everything they'd done for me, they kicked me out at 17 because I refused to lie for Eric after he stole Grandma's medicine. They didn't even show up to my college graduation. For 3 years in a row, they forgot my birthday to busy helping Emily move in with her boyfriend. But this was about more than birthdays. By the next morning, I had answers. They weren't just on a cruise. They were on the majestic Aurora, a luxury ship cruising the Caribbean for 10 days. Private butler, infinity pool, gourmet meals, $3,000 a person. 4 people. I found out because Emily forgot to block me on Instagram. She posted a photo, all of them in robes, clinking champagne glasses. The caption read, "Finally some calm, away from the leeches and negativity." Leeches. I laughed out loud. They took my surgery money, left Grandma with cold leftovers, and called me a leech. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't even angry. I was focused. That evening, Grandma found me in the garage. I was surrounded by piles of old bills and files from Dad's metal cabinet. She didn't say anything. Just watched as I flipped through the papers, my hands shaking. I need to know everything, I told her. Where the money went, what they did, who helped them. She sat beside me, pulled out a worn notepad, and said, "Let's start with 2016. That's when your mother first used my pension login. By midnight, we had numbers. By morning, we had a plan. 2 days later, they rolled into the driveway like royalty. The same people who left a note and a fridge full of rotting kale now returned like heroes. Emily was first, dragging a luxury suitcase. Nails perfectly done. Ooh, so glad to be back. That last dinner gave me hives. Then came Mom, sweeping in like she was starring in a soap opera, sunglasses still on. Did you even clean up a little? She asked, stepping over Grandma's shawl like it was trash. Dad followed, red-faced and bloated from too many buffets. He glanced at me. Oh, you're still here. Eric came last, dumped his stuff on the floor, and collapsed on the couch. He didn't even say hello to Grandma. I sat at the table, calm, waiting. Where's the food? Mom said, poking around the kitchen. In the fridge, I answered. Still plenty of the ham you left. Eric snorted. Are you still on that? Dude, just order takeout. It's not like you're broke. I stood slowly. Glad you're all here. Sit down. I've got something to show you. Eric groaned and slumped into a chair. Dad cracked his knuckles. Emily searched for a phone charger. I turned the laptop toward them and pressed play. Video 1, a spreadsheet. Not just numbers, they're numbers. A full financial audit I created with Grandma over 4 days. Every dollar taken from her pension. Dad's ATM withdrawals from gas stations. Emily's so-called emergency Zelle transfers that went to Sephora and Apple. Where'd you get this? Mom asked, voice sharp. Her bank, I said. Maybe don't use someone else's password if you don't want to get caught. Video 2. Venmo screenshots. Logins from Mom's phone. Pension access during Dad's betting binges. Emails from Mom to Emily. He won't notice the missing cruise deposit. He trusts us too much. He's a softie. Plus, who leaves Grandma alone on Christmas anyway? I clenched my jaw, but kept going. I could stop here, I said, but I won't. Final file. A voice recording. Ruby, Eric's wife, crying on our porch 2 nights ago. I didn't want to go. I begged him, but Eric said, if you didn't give them money, they said they'd just deal with it later. Ruby whispered on the recording. I only stayed quiet because Eric told me it would blow over. I'm sorry, I just couldn't take it anymore. Eric jumped to his feet. You recorded my wife. That's illegal. No, I said calmly. She asked me to. She said she was tired of lying for you. Tired of watching you bleed people dry. Dad's face turned red. You little snake. Digging through our accounts like someone who's done being robbed. I snapped. I clicked one final tab on the laptop. It was an email. Subject: formal report of elder financial abuse. Evidence attached. It was ready to send to Social Security's Fraud Division, Grandma's lawyer, the county ombudsman, and a few local news stations. You have 48 hours, I said. Return every penny. Or I send this. Emily's hands shook. You're bluffing. You'd ruin your own family. No, I replied. You ruin the family. I'm just sending the bill. Grandma stood up for the first time. She hadn't said a word until now. She placed her hand on the back of a chair and said quietly, I raised 3 of you, fed you, changed you, protected you. And when I couldn't walk, you left me with frozen beans and moldy pie while you sipped champagne on his money. She paused. You're lucky it's him coming after you. Because if it were me. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. The room went dead silent. Dad muttered something and stormed out. Emily cried and tried to hug Grandma, but Grandma turned away. Eric scowled. "You're not family anymore," he growled. I smiled. "Great. I'm finally free." They didn't believe I'd do it, not even after I showed them the email. Not even after Grandma stared at them with that quiet, furious disappointment. They thought I was bluffing. They thought I'd fold like I always did. But that version of me, the one who nodded, gave in, paid up, and whispered, "Thank you for the crumbs." He died the moment they spent $7,500 of my savings on pina coladas and a cruise buffet. The first day passed in silence. No apologies, no texts. Just Grandma and me in that empty house, eating microwave porridge and checking our accounts. Nothing came. The second day, I sent the email. Each file, each screenshot, each recording tagged, dated, filed with state agencies, and forwarded to media contacts. At 6:13 p.m., I got a reply. "Thank you for your submission. A case has been opened." On the third day, it all blew up. Eric panicked first. I woke up to 12 missed calls and a flood of texts. "We didn't mean it like that. You're seriously going to ruin your family over some money." Then came Mom's usual move. "You're being emotional. Please take down the post. We'll talk." I didn't respond. I just forwarded everything to my attorney, Natalie. She had already been working with Grandma's legal team since I recorded Ruby's confession. By that afternoon, Natalie had sent formal letters of intent to sue my parents, Eric and Emily. The charges: elder financial exploitation, unlawful access to retirement funds, theft of a family loan. The total owed with interest and damages, $14,322.85. The next night, Mom showed up at the door. She looked like she hadn't slept, no makeup, hair thrown back carelessly. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice trembling. I crossed my arms. "Only if you brought a checkbook." She pulled an envelope from her bag. Inside, a $7,500 cashier's check. "My loan?" I asked. "No interest," she snapped. "You're lucky I'm even taking this," she muttered. "You're destroying us. You're turning your back on your own mother." I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "No," I said. "I'm finally turning my back on a thief." Later that week, Emily called me from her work phone, crying. She said the news piece had gone viral. Family steals disabled grandmother's pension, abandons her at Christmas. Grandson fights back. It had 42,000 shares in one night. Emily's boss at the boutique marketing firm didn't take the publicity. Well, her name was all over the screenshots. That snide leeches and negativity caption. It became a meme. "I'm getting fired," she cried. "Do you even realize what you've done?" "Returning the favor," I said. "Now pay your share." She did over 4 installments. I made her send proof of payment every single time. No shortcuts, no excuses. Eric was the last to fall. At first, he acted untouchable. "My boss doesn't care," he posted online. "It's all fake anyway." But then Ruby left him. She filed for divorce. She said she wouldn't let their kids grow up in a house full of lies and theft. She called me that same day. "I'm sorry it took me this long," she said quietly. "But now I see who he really is. Need help finding a place?" I asked. She paused. "Only if it comes with no strings attached." I smiled. "Then yes, because you finally did the right thing." 2 days later, Eric showed up at my Dorrenshaven, worn out, furious. "You fool," he hissed. "You ruined everything." "No," I said, handing him a legal notice. "You did." Natalie had just filed a motion to garnish his wages. He tried to rip the letter and throw it at me. I didn't flinch. "Pay every penny," I told him. "Or we freeze your accounts." I'm not bluffing. Ask around. By the end of the second week, all the money was back. $7,500 from Mom and Dad. $3,100 plus interest from Emily. $2,700 from Eric after borrowing from his boss. Humiliating. Total returned $14,300 and change. I used $3,000 for my long overdue dental surgery. I spent $2,000 to buy Grandma a lift chair and hire a home nurse. The rest, I opened a closed interest-bearing account in her name. Only the two of us could access it. When I showed her the documents, she cried. They took everything from me, she whispered. But they didn't take you. And just like that I won. Not just the money. Not just the legal fight. I got myself back. The guilt, the pressure, the quiet shame of being the one they loved the least, it all fell away like an old, dirty coat. I stood taller than I had in years. They stopped calling. And you know what? It was finally quiet. Not the heavy silence of shame. Not the anxious hush of waiting to be hurt again. But real quiet. Clean, peaceful, earned. The money was back. The house was calm. Grandma was sleeping through the night, no longer waking up every hour, afraid someone would break in and steal whatever dignity she had left. And me, I was becoming someone they couldn't touch. In the weeks after, I didn't just reclaim money. I reclaimed my life. I quit the job that was draining me dry. I accepted a remote contract that paid more and gave me back my time. I took Grandma to her favorite place, a beat-up, old diner with cracked tiles and the worst coffee in the state. She laughed more in that hour than I'd seen in 5 years. I miss this, she said, dipping fries into her milkshake. You mean your arteries miss this? I joked. She grinned. I'd rather die laughing with you than choking on cruise ship shrimp with those snakes. Fair enough. But even peace has ghosts. They didn't call, but they talked. Emily posted on Facebook about people who don't understand forgiveness, next to a photo of her lighting a candle in church. Mom told distant relatives that I was the one exploiting Grandma. She didn't mention using Grandma's pension to pay off her plastic surgery loan, and Eric lost it completely. He made a dramatic video about toxic siblings, with the Succession theme playing in the background like he was some fallen heir to a broken empire. Caption: Some people would rather see you fall than rise with you. I laughed for 10 minutes straight. Rise with you. You tried to burn me alive and dance in the ashes. They wanted to rewrite the story. But I kept the receipts, and this time I refused to go back into the shadows. 3 weeks later, the moment hit me. Grandma and I were in the grocery store, pushing a cart full of soup cans and ginger ale. That's when a woman approached, older, stylish, and oddly familiar. Sorry, she said, looking right at me. Are you the one from the article? I stiffened. She smiled. The one who saved his grandmother. I blinked. I guess, yeah. She glanced at Grandma, then back at me. I just wanted to say thank you for standing up, for not staying silent. They did the same to my mother, but no one fought for her. I wish someone had. She gently touched my arm and walked away. I turned to Grandma. She was frozen, hands resting on a can of soup, tears quietly filling her eyes. I didn't think anyone saw us, she whispered. They do now, I said. And in that moment, I understood. This wasn't just about the money, or vengeance, or proving I wasn't some weak loser they could walk over. It was about telling the truth out loud. Finally. And here's the best part. I was done explaining myself. I didn't have to yell anymore. The truth was out there now. It had their names attached. Like a trash bag ripped open in public, everyone could see the mess. Every time they posted something online, people remembered. Every time they lied, someone in the comments reminded them who they really were. Mom tried to save her image. She started a YouTube cooking channel called Cozy Kitchen with Carla. On the first video, someone commented, "Did you pay for that oven with stolen retirement funds?" She deleted the whole channel 2 days later. Eric tried to get a new job, Didn't pass the background check. The wage garnishment order scared off the company. Oops. Emily vanished for a while, then popped back up on Instagram at AMC_life_reset. She posted yoga selfies and quotes about cutting off toxic people. Which was funny. Because I didn't just cut her off, I exiled her. Months passed. I moved into a small, clean apartment, quiet, peaceful, filled with used furniture I chose. Nothing touched by them. Grandma moved in with me. 1 bedroom for her, 1 for me. She decorated hers with vintage photos and a blanket she'd knitted back in 1993. She called it the fort. One night, she knocked on my door. "I have a question," she said gently, sitting on my bed. "When you found that note, the one they left, why didn't you just leave? Why'd you stay?" I thought for a moment, then I said, "Because I remembered who I was before they made me forget." She looked at me for a long time, then nodded slowly. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart." That shattered me more than any insult they'd ever screamed, because she meant it, and no one else in the family ever had. Weeks later, I saw Ruby outside a coffee shop. She looked healthier, lighter, happier. She told me she was taking night classes, working toward a certification, and trying to build something new on her own. "I didn't know I could live like this," she said, "without being afraid of what he'd do next. You gave me that." I didn't know what to say. She leaned closer. "You changed more than just your life, you know." I nodded quietly. For the first time, I believed it. "So here's how it ends. What happened to the family? They destroyed their own names trying to bury mine. What happened to me? I stopped waiting for them to call me family. I started creating one with the people who never made me beg for love. And now I sleep easily, with all the lights off. Because I'm no longer afraid of what they'll do next. They already took everything. I took it back. Thanks for watching and being part of the drama. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a wild new story.